What's going on, family? Okay, here we go. Start my live video. Plan on doing a few videos today. So, what I want to discuss right now is the point being abducted. Like I said, being abducted by the mothership. And with that mothership, y'all gotta excuse me. I'm trying to hold my phone without covering my microphone button. Now, the whole purpose of what I consider the mothership is ties into the feminine principle, your X chromosome, the motherboard, motherland, Mother Earth, the cosmic womb, the first mother, the that whole concept. So I'm ready to discuss everything dealing with that to explain what my purpose is in life and on this planet and the purpose I serve and why I talk about the things I talk about, why I do the shit that I do, why I deal with the kind of people that I deal with, and why I move the way that I move, the places that I go, the people I choose to interact with and engage. So that's basically this topic of the topic of my live right now. And when I talk about being abducted by the mothership, I'm not talking about like the cracker type abduction, where the motherfucker come out the sky and snatch you up off the planet and take you somewhere and be sticking shit in your ass. So I'm talking about real life experiences that are so profound that they affect you and change your life, change the way you think. And no matter what you believe or what you stand on, what you represent already, like that shit, like is soul snatching and changes your perception by force. You don't ask to do it. You don't have no idea that it's happening. It just happens, and the experiences are so profound that you can't not be changed by it, not be altered by it in your perception, your views on life, your feelings, your thoughts, and your ideas. Everything. So that's the concept that when I talk about being abducted, that's basically what I'm talking about. So that being said, I'll say there's a few experiences. Most of my experiences that I have regarding why I'm staying on what I stand on now, why I do what I do. Peace, Bernadette. Like your page too, a lot of knowledge and wisdom. Y'all need to check her page out, Bernadette Jackson. But a lot of things that I learned and studied came from my time in prison, and a lot of people don't know it. I spent about 11 and a half years in prison, and starting at the age of, I went in when I was 14, came out and all that shit, and went back in when I was 17 years old on a 7-year bid. So a lot of my spirituality things came from being in prison and growing up and being raised as a Christian, and there's a lot of spiritual brothers in prison that's using prison as like this in the same sense of like a monastery. Like that's what prison is really for, pre-sun. That's your pre-enlightenment era. That's where before you come back into the sun, into the world, you got to go through this monastery. It's like university type of atmosphere. And you either going to become worse than what you are, or you're going to become a better person than you are. Me, being the extremist that I am, I picked up on both qualities. I became very criminally inclined. Well, I don't like to say crime criminally because crime deals with blood and drawing blood and murder and life, and I've never been convicted of any type of murders. But and there's a lot of brothers that's in there that got almost like act as a coven. We live as a coven in prison. And all the prison shit that you see on Oz and all that extra shit that goes on, but for the most part, the real shit that's going on in prison that's really getting people in isolation and SHU program and solitary confinements and people getting their rights fucked with is because it's a lot of spiritual brothers that's on that sovereignty, a lot of unifying, a lot of education, a lot of magic going on. A lot of ritualistic practices. I was in the SHU program, which is solitary confinement, 47-1, or where you only come out 1 hour every 2 days, and you only get to come out. You don't come out on Saturday and Sunday except for a phone call. You come either Saturday or Sunday. You get one phone call. Other than that, you don't leave your cell. So and anywhere you go, you got to be cuffed up. So in that environment, we're supposed to be considered the worst prisoners in the facility and all that type of shit. But it's really some petty shit that you get sent back there for, especially if you're revolutionary minded, spiritually inclined, and they see that they haven't broken you, because prisons are for a purpose, to break you, to change the way you perceive life and existence, and to get you to submit your will. That's ultimately what most prisons are. I think a prison that's real physically hostile is probably a more healthier environment for you mentally and spiritually than a prison that's as psychological as the prisons that I've been in, where it's not really that much of a violent threat, physical threat, unless it's from the crackers, the police. It's more of a spiritual, mental, where it's a psychological programming that they're implementing. And it's these fraternal orders, these sororities and stuff that's in these prisons as correctional officers and as medical staff and as counselors in the prisons, and people that deal with between you and your freedom and the programs that you can get involved in prisons that are really. So they're the ones that's really controlling and pulling strings in there. So I didn't deal with the prison, no programs, none of that shit. I refused. They tried to get me to go to mental health counseling several times. I refused to do that. I even had to have, one time I got locked up, I had to go get mental health evaluation before I could be released from prison. So, and it's all because of what I stand on. And, people was going to court bringing paperwork and knowledge and things that I was teaching and circulating around the prison, saying that, I'm trying to unify, I'm trying to start a cult, start a coven, I'm trying to rise up against the government, all types of shit like that. So, but what boiled down to is I had a community of brothers within the prison, and we basically did like group meditations, and, we was trying to do group astral projections, like, that type of shit that you see on, what's that movie, Doctor Strange? We was really trying to tap into that level of warfare and really go to war and combat spirits and demons and energies on a higher frequency, and trying to bring that energy back down and circulate it throughout the prison so that we can create a different environment and accomplish different things. So the experiences that I had that made me that gave me my purpose was regarding I'll say the most profound one was, first it started off when I was 14 years old. A lot of my family members don't even know this either. But I was 14 years old. I was I was Christianized real heavy, but I was infatuated by the street life. But I still read my Bible and still prayed and all that kind of shit, and really believed that there was a God that was above the clouds somewhere, listening to what the fuck I got to say. And I believe that there was a devil below somewhere that was also listening to what the fuck I had to say. I believe that there was other beings that also paid attention to this world that was not gods or devils. So I always kind of believed that. And so what happened was I was like 14, and I was just going through so much hell in my life, and my family was going through so much shit, and just, my mother was going through so much shit. Especially dealing with these fuck niggas that's like real abusive and hostile towards her children, and mainly me. I was always catching the hostility from any man, including my father. And so it would boil down to it became a situation where one night I sat up praying and meditating on life, and after reading the Bible, I completely read the Bible twice when I was 14 by myself in my bedroom, before I ran the streets to God and all that type of shit. And so my thing was like, it's a lot of crazy shit to jump off in the Bible. What if that shit really happened on this earth? Like, is we really ready to live like that? So I went and prayed, and I basically prayed to God. I said, whoever's listening, whoever is the true and living God, I pray that I would take all the hell from my family, and I will embody all the hell that's been designated for my family. If you allow everybody that I love, everybody that I care for, and all of my family members, even if they don't know the truth, if you allow them to go to heaven. So at this time, I believed in the Christianity, the Christian perspective of heaven and hell. So I believe that I was like, so that was my prayer when I was 14 years old. I sat up and prayed and like for hours. Like I just kept on like just wishing and hoping and praying and kept speaking and saying it over and over for hours. Laid up in my bed, kind of like how you see a mummy, how the Egyptian mummy, the tombs, the coffins, whatever they call it, sarcophagus, How they lay back, feet straight, legs, arms crossed across their chest. That's how I would sit up and pray. That's how my prayers usually was. So I sat up like that, praying for hours. By myself on North Street, 406 North Street was my address, Seaford, Delaware. And what basically transpired was that a being had came to me in the midst of that. Like, you know, something took place where I felt like my body, I was physically shut down. But when I physically shut down, something inside of me came up a couple inches away from my body, which I assume now from my studies and all that it was my astral self, you know, my metaphysical self, my quantum self, whatever it is that you want to call it, my true self. And this being communicated with me and let me know that it heard me listening, and it agrees with me, because everything that you deal with, anytime you deal with any decisions that's being made on the spiritual realm, something, I don't know what it is personally, I believe, and this is that's another discussion, but anytime you communicate with higher beings or higher energy beings, everything that you do or they do on this plane, you have to agree to it. They can't do anything without you summoning them, agreeing to it, evoking them, or coming into some kind of contractual agreement, mutual agreement of some sort. But it also ultimately has to be controlled by you. You are the source of everything. Now, throughout the contract and the agreements and things of that nature, you can be given more power. You can give them more power and authority, but it's all through trickery. Like, they never really have any power, these higher beings. And it's a lot of experiences that I've been through to show that proves that. But so during this experience, it's this being that came to me and basically let me know that it agrees. It's with me. It's gonna do as I choose to do. And what this being looked like, I can only describe it as like it was a light being, but it was a translucent light surrounded by darkness. You know, like everything was black. Most visions and experiences I have with the supernatural or extraterrestrial or whatever, it's always all black backdrop. You know, I never see the white pearly gates and clouds and all and fucking and angels and shit singing and all that type of shit. You know, I don't ever go through that kind of shit. I go through the shit where I see the beings in their true form, and those people that do see the angelic, the Christians sing the motherfucking angels all dressed in white, pale skin, holding candles, singing hymns and all that shit. That's another reality or perception that's been agreed upon. You know, that's another contract that's been made with some angelic beings to present themselves in that form so that you won't be scared of them. But that'll be another discussion. But right now, so this being agreed with me and the things of that nature, immediately I felt like I was communicating with God or something that was sent by God, but I did not feel like I was communicating with God. Whatever being that was, immediately I felt like, you know, like there was some ulterior motives to that being agreeing with me, and it was like really ready to agree with me, and just like was with it, and it wasn't something that I heard like through these binaural ears. It was something that I felt throughout my whole being, my entire being. I felt the agreement. I felt the harmony or the connection being made, and being solidified between me and that being. And ever since then, and my family that know me can testify to this. I see a couple of them was on here watching. They know that like about the age of 14 was when I really started getting wild and wicked out there in the streets, and started like not giving a fuck about nothing and nobody, and just, you know, getting money, getting high, fuck bitches, you know what I mean, run the streets, break the law, do anything illegal. I was with it. You know what I mean? No doubt. And I went to the point, and then it came to the point of I was doing robberies and kicking in doors, and I was running up in parties. I was robbing the whole parties. I was, doing some shit that I still ain't get locked up for, or haven't. A couple of things I've been under investigation for, but never went further than being questioned for. Like, I was just so wild and so crazy that I didn't give a fuck about nothing. And by the age of 15, I did get kicked out the house by my mother, and was on my own. And at that time, I was already driving, getting cars off the lot, staying with all these other chicks out there in the hood, and going to town, committing crimes, just doing whatever, rocking out with who I rocked out with. My cousin Rod, he was always rolling with me when I came to his town. So he was like a year or two older than me. So we was both under 18. But the point is, I eventually did this robbery. And this is the robbery I got locked up for when I was 17, and got 7 years for this robbery. But on my way to go into this robbery, you know, I was walking. I was like right outside the house, outside the yard of the grass, and then I went to walk in this joint, and the being that I automatically assumed and associated with the being that I had made this agreement with was like, "Yo, don't do it." And I heard it, and I was like looking around, trying to find out who the fuck that was. It just said that shit. It just kept saying, "Don't do it." So I went to I was like, man, fuck that shit. Like, I was with my peoples. I'm not gonna say who I was with because, you know what I mean, I was the only one that got locked up for it, and I didn't snitch on nobody. So it's a lot of details I gotta leave out. But so I went to walk. So I was like, yo, my people was like, yo, man, come on, you coming or not? So I was like, yo, fuck it, let's rock. When to go do it, the being like stopped me, like, yo, don't do it. And then immediately when I was like, man, fuck that, I'm going up in here. It's too late. I'm already here now. And when I went up, as soon as I made that decision that I knew I was committed to doing this, energy left my body. And that robbery, you know, things got real crazy, real wicked, you know, pistol whipping, stripping, beating, and like trying to find this stash, this money, this gold, you know what I mean, what we assumed was going to be there, so on and so forth. So after that, you know, basically downhill spiral into that gutter grimy lifestyle. Now, fast forward years later, I'm in prison. And while I'm in prison, I get into the vibe where I'm like, yo, I'm ready to start challenging every spiritual system. I'm getting tired of hearing these fucking Hebrew Israelites. I'm getting tired of hearing these motherfucking Muslims. You know, I'm doing all right. I'm making rap songs about these motherfuckers. I'm talking shit to them. I'm dissing them. I'm ready to shoot the one with them, I mean, over anything just because they just keep talking this dumbass Christian and Muslim and Hebrew Israelite shit. So I get to that point. So I get to the point basically where I get in this room with this brother from Philly and shit, and he Muslim. And I respect him. He an older dude. I respect him and shit. We do some dirt together on the tier. And okay. We do some dirt. Oh fuck. We do some dirt together on the tier, and so we develop a bond. So I'm like, yo, I'm trying to turn him on. He like 40 something years old at this time, like 42. I was like a fresh 18, like not even 2 months, 18 years old. So I'm like trying to turn him on to Christianity. Like, oh man, you need to check these books out I got about Christianity and all that. You know what I mean? Boom, boom, boom. He like, yo, nah, I'm good, but I got some books for you. So I'm like, yo, you study Christianity, I study Islam. And so we basically did that, but we more so was into some street shit. You know what I mean? Beating motherfuckers up that owed us money and all that type of shit in prison. So, so basically we moved on. I met another Muslim brother. He turned me on to Islam. He was like, yo, real respect, real recognize real. So I'm going to drop some jewels on you. And if you respect it, you know what I mean, then basically what he gave me was a book called Confessions of a British Spy. That's a real good book that's out of print right now, too. It's out of print, out of date, all that. I don't even know if you can find it anywhere right now. But it's called Confessions of a British Spy. That's a book that you should look. That's when the first programs with of cloning and shit actually started with world leaders. And all these assassinations and shit were staged events, and you know, it's a lot of stuff that was going on. And this book was written before Osama bin Laden was considered a terrorist and all that type of shit. So it deals with how they was cool, they was friendly with all these governments, they was doing shit. But I went to but basically what boiled down to, I started getting real deep into Islam, and as in Islam, there's a cult side of Islam that it's called Sufism, and it's other cult it's Sufism, Fatimiyun. At that time, I was what was it? I was Salafi Muslim, Salafi, or then at first we was called Sunni Muslim. Then the whole terrorist thing jumped off in the Middle East with the 9/11 shit and all that. So we had to stop calling ourselves Sunni Muslims in the prison, or we was gonna be put on isolation, solitary confinement, and have all our knowledge taken from us, our books and everything, because of the war that was going on. Like, shit happened inside the prison as a reaction to the war. So they wasn't allowing us to call ourselves Sunni Muslims no more. We couldn't call ourselves Shia Muslims or nothing like that. So we started calling ourselves Salafi Salih Muslims. But through it all in all, the spiritual side, I always was real scholarly about my spirituality. So I went and started studying the spiritual, everything. For one, you can't tell me that shit is off limits to me. You tell me something is off limits, I'm going in, I'm rocking into it, I'm studying it. You know what I mean? Just because I don't respect no limitations except the ones I put on myself. Those are the only limitations I respect. So anytime I don't give a fuck from a Christian, you telling me not to study Islam, not to fuck with the Muslims, I'm rocking with them. If I'm Muslim, when I became Muslim, they taught me about expanding your mind, growing, learning more. So I stopped being Christian as I began to agree with Islam. Now with Islam, I got into the cult side of Muhammad's teachings and all that, so on and so forth. But through it all, I did not respect a lot of shit about Islam and about the leadership, the hierarchy, and things of that nature. And especially how they try to control you. It's more so like a cult. They try to have control system like hierarchy, Christianity, the Catholic, the popes, and all that shit. Same way Islam is. Same way Christianity is. So basically what it boiled down to, as a Muslim though, I had a spiritual experience. Like I was the Muslim that was no TV, no radio, no masturbation, no lusting over women, no looking at no magazines, no eating pork, no what else was it? Pray 5 times a day, plus it's 2 supererogatory prayers that you can do in the middle of the night. Like, so I was waking up like 3-4 o'clock in the morning doing extra prayers, and 12 o'clock at night doing extra prayers. Between my prayers, after my first prayer, because you're not supposed to do no prayers before your between your Fajr prayer and the second prayer. So I was doing all these prayers, which amounted to like 6-7 prayers a day. I was fasting every month, 3 days out the month. I was fasting. I was studying all Islam knowledge. Like I was just going dick hard into everything, and I was so deep into it. And that's why I say, like, I don't down nobody for whatever spiritual system you into, because you can become conscious or elevated or tune into some real deep shit. No matter what spiritual system you in, everybody got a piece of the puzzle. And I tuned in. I tapped into I made that agreement as a Christian. I stepped into an energy as a Christian. As a Muslim, I had an astral projection. My first astral projection that I feel was an astral projection. I had that as a Muslim, going hard as a Muslim and representing Islam and trying to start a Islamic organization within the prison and all kind of stuff like that. I was really trying to be a leader, not because I wanted to lead, but because I felt like it was needed. I was just trying to be what was needed in the community. And I had an astral projection experience where I was taken out of my body. Like when I was sitting there meditating, doing what we're supposed to do as a Muslim, praying on my way to sleep, sleeping in because, as a Muslim, a lot of people don't know this, as a Muslim, there's certain ways that you're not even allowed to sleep. Like, you have to sleep either you can't sleep on your stomach as a Muslim. You can't, what else is it? They say the preferred method to sleep is on your right side, so that you don't that's so you don't put too much pressure on your heart, so that the beings can come. It's like all types of mystical teachings that deal with how you can sleep, how you can eat, how you wipe your ass, all that shit. So, and I was following every single thing that seemed like it was real Islam. You know what I mean? So the what they call the Mean Hajj, or the that was written in the Sahih, which is the 2 authenticated books of Hadith, are called the Sahih. Some say 5, some say 6, but it's 2 books of Hadith that everybody agree on. I believe it's Sahih Muslim and Sahih Bukhari. And so I was following everything that was in both of those books. And basically what was in those books led me out of Islam too, but that's not relevant to what I'm talking about right now. But anybody want to check out the real Islam that every Muslim got to go by, check out Sahih Muslim and Sahih Bukhari. They're books of Hadith, authenticated books of Hadith. And those are only 2 books that every sect of Islam agrees on being authentic. Every sect, Bukhari and Muslim, Hadith. But and Hadith is just people talking about what the Prophet said or what the Prophet did or what they saw the Prophet do or what they heard at the Prophet or shit like that. But first-hand knowledge, allegedly. And so as a Muslim, I had an astral projection moment, and in this moment, I was taken up out of my body. Like a being came down to me, which in Islam we would consider it to be a jinn of some sort. Came down and lifted my body out. I was asleep actually and it was about to be prayer time. I didn't know that it was about to be prayer time. I was just knocked the fuck out, sleep on my bunk. I slept on the bottom bunk, had a stone cold Christian on top of me. and I mean, who's also HIV positive, and we went through some shit too because of that. But this being came and grabbed me by my shin, and in Islam, it's significant when you get grabbed by your shin. If a mystical being comes grab you by your shin or by your thigh, that all represents something in Islam. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but the thigh part represents something dealing with Israel, Jacob wrestling with the angel and all that when he became Israel. So and Islam deals with the teachings of Israel and all that too. They just believe that the Israelites stopped at Israel when it's beyond them because the Muslims are Israelites too. For those that don't know, Muslims are Israelites also, and because there was, who was it? They're not Israelite. They're Jacobite. I mean, Abrahamites or Jacobites. But basically, that's what it is. The Muslims are Hebrews. That's what it is. There's Hebrew Israelites and there's Hebrew Ishmaelites. And so basically what we was following at a time, which we call the Salaf Salih, was Hebrew Ishmaelites, which is basically like the black Muslims. They believe that we come from the bloodline of Ishmael. There are those that come from the bloodline of Israel also, as Hebrews, both Hebrews though. And the Hebrews, the one call themselves Muslims and Christians and Jews and Judas and whatever else they want to call themselves, Israelites, and the other ones call themselves Ishmaelites or Muslims. So but in this astral projection, I was taken up. And this being just grabbed me and just came and didn't do nothing, didn't say nothing to me or nothing. Just looked at me in my face, like came in real close to me and just looked at me like this. And backed up. And when it backed up, I could see every single thing on my tier that was happening at that moment. Every single thing in every single cell. And I was still laying there in my body, like I could see, like I was he lifted me by my shins up out of my body, by my shins. As this was like a light being, which you would consider an angelic being, lifted me up out of my body by my shins, but it was holding not my physical body, it was holding my astral body by its shins. And I was straight as a board. But somehow, some way, there was an energy that when it grabbed me and lifted me up out of my body, it tapped me into an energy where I could see inside every single cell that was in every direction around me in that building. And it was to the point where when that was the whole purpose that it went for some. I don't know why it did that, but I know it did contribute to me becoming more knowledgeable, more aware. And it brought me back. I was in a state of depression at that time too. And it kind of didn't contribute to me getting out. It didn't help me get out of my depression because I was in a depression for like 4.5 years when I was locked up. And that didn't help me. These spiritual experiences don't help with depression. They don't help with what you're going on within your own psyche, your own body chemistry and shit like that, which is what depression is. It's a chemical reaction within your body that's not going the way that it's supposed to be going. So all these spiritual experiences didn't help my depression, but it helped me with it. It was unlocking something in my mind. And before this took place, like when I told you when I first became Muslim, I should have went back to that. I just now remember this experience. But that happened, and I could see everything in the cell, and I started talking to people and asked them, can I try to confirm? You got to confirm your spiritual experiences. If you have a spiritual experience and you're like, yo, I feel like I just saw this, I know this, or I went and I had a dream about this person, and this happened, and boom, boom, you should call these people and let them know that you just had a dream or a vision about them, or that you just had an experience about these people. And and try to get confirmation for yourself so that you can understand how your energy systems and how your spirit guides are working for you. So anytime anything happens where you have a dream about somebody, or you have a vision about somebody, you should contact that person. I don't care if it's somebody on Facebook that you never talked to. Inbox that motherfucker and be like, yo, listen, I just, I don't know you. I know we don't communicate, but I just had a dream about you. I just had it because that shit happens. It happens to me before and I didn't act on it. But then I start seeing posts and people and they start saying things that correlates with the dreams or the visions that I had about them. So, I pay attention to a lot of my Facebook friends real heavily, more so than they probably thinking that I do, just because I do see a lot of my Facebook friends and different visions I have, because I do take y'all serious. I don't take Facebook for a game or just social media, just somewhere to have fun and talk shit. I do, even though I do that, but you making real connections with people, sharing real knowledge that can change people's lives, real information, real wisdom. giving somebody something that could unlock a key to one of their abilities or powers. So you need to take this shit real serious when you start to, have visions and things like that. So what happened was, I started talking to but I'm now rewinding back to but I confirmed a lot of stuff that people was doing themselves. Like one brother that I knew was washing his clothes next door. One dude was over there writing a rap. I seen all this shit going on, and they actually confirmed it when I asked them about it. You know what I mean? And so now rewind back to an experience that I had before I became Muslim. I got to the point where I was stuck when I first started studying, taking Islam seriously, and this brother died too, and he died a mysterious death, and we was working on something too, a secret organization, and started getting a lot of members and setting up a lot of things. It was real deep, but he ended up getting killed in his house on a weekend pass, and no evidence of forced entry, no sign of entry. Shot like 2 or 3 times in the back of his head, out of state somewhere. While he was sitting at his computer. But and we was working on some real powerful stuff, so that kind of got me paranoid at one time too. But I was studying real heavy, meditating and thinking and just vibing and reading, studying everything. Like I was always real scholarly. Like nigga, I was back when I was a young boy, like real small. I was the motherfucker that ran around. When I came home, I liked to play with my Teddy Ruxpin and shit. You know what I mean? Little teddy bear, pop the cassette tape in the back, listen to it while I watched the mouth move. Like I was into all that. I read everything. I don't give a fuck what it was. I read it. So, read porno magazines I found on the ground. I would watch the girls and all that shit, but I would read the fucking stories in the magazines I found outside. See how the plot line go. That's probably my Scorpio side that was doing that shit though. But yeah. I got it got to the point where I got to a point where I realized I wasn't sleeping. I had went like 2 weeks in there without sleep. And really like I went 2 weeks without sleeping. I went like I say about 5 days without eating before I realized that I wasn't even eating. And all I was doing was studying, reading, working out, talking, writing raps, writing poetry, right? Like I was real heavy into, and at the same time I had the COs was coming at my neck real heavy, like just for different shit. At that time, one of the counselors in the prison had got kidnapped and held hostage and shit. They came in, killed the dude, locked the prison down, all that type of shit. So everybody was on lockdown. I was the one, ghetto spokesman, writing letters to the warden and protesting our solitary confinement and being locked down and not having no privileges, no rights or nothing like that. But at the same time, I was still studying. I had my whole cell stripped down. SEALs came there, stripped me down butt naked, took all my shit, all my bed, blankets, books, paperwork, mail, everything. Only thing they did was they brought my food to me, spit in my food, all that shit. Fucked with it, poked their fingers in there while I was looking at them and all that shit. But I was already to a point where I was like, yo, I don't need no food. That mind state where people like, yo, all I need is the spirit to sustain me, that manna from heaven. I was on that vibe at the time, but I was in between the stages of Christianity and Islam. And so don't doubt that you can be powerful in these systems. But in this state, I was went by, like I said, about 5 days without eating. I had been about 2 weeks without sleeping. And the only thing that seemed to have any validity to me in my life at that time was just growing, knowing, and self-expression, like just releasing of my energy. But the significant thing where I wanted to go back to this time was during this time I had like something that I explained at the time to the people that I was communicating with through my ventilation system, because it was solitary confinement, everybody in the cell by themselves, locked down, all that shit. So we had to communicate through our ventilation system to other people. And I was telling like, yo, I felt like a burning ball of fire in the center of my brain. Like nothing that it didn't hurt me or anything. It was like, but I could tell, I knew that it was like lava. Like somebody dropped a drop of lava that was just oscillating around itself like very, very fast, very, very fast, just turning nonstop right in the center of my brain. Come to find out, I didn't even know that my pineal gland was there at the time. I didn't know that was a pineal gland right here. But it was like in the center of my brain, just spinning fire like a fireball. I could see it. through my perceptions, through my being able to feel it. I could see it. It's like I could feel what it looked like. That's the best way I can describe it. It was like a fireball in the center of my brain, just spinning nonstop. And during this time is when I went this five days with no eating, 2 weeks, no sleep, just nonstop. And all I was doing was writing, reading, studying, talking to people, communicating, writing raps, all that. I mean, writing music, writing poetry. I wasn't getting no visits, no mail, no phone calls. I mean, I didn't have no outside communication with the world. It was just me within myself and the people around me in my immediate area, but we all was like on the same vibe. Everybody was not knowing I was in a ventilation system with a Muslim brother that was deep, called him Mara G's, and 2 Crips was upstairs. And we all rapped. We all was on lockdown for fucking somebody up. And we was just like, kept it tight-knit circle. We respect each other. Yeah. So I'm glad somebody else felt it, because nobody knew what I was talking about at that time. And I was just like, and by the time, what happened was, throughout this process, or throughout the time that I was going through this experience with this what I call this fireball inside of my brain, which I know was in the place like right, either my pineal gland or right underneath of my pineal gland. It was like I was just having this real productive, creative energy booming, like out of every pore, no matter every single thing I did was creative, was like real passionate. It was real deep. It was real. I was still going now at the same time. I was still going through my depressed modes, because I was depressed because of worldly things. I mean, my family not really communicating with me, not getting visits, not getting money sent to my account. I mean, none of that shit. I was like, for a while I was like hanging in there by a thread. The only one really was taking care of me was my mom, and she had a fuck nigga she was dealing with that was locked up somewhere else. So that was really like that experience right there, kind of like, and everything. The whole time all this is going on, I'm remembering about the shit that was happening with my the experience I had when I was 14 that I told you about, and the experience that I had when I was 17 when I did the robbery. Well, I was 16 when I did the robbery. And I was 17 when I got caught. So I was 16 2 years later after I did this contract, this spiritual agreement with this being, that I had this other experience where something came to me. Now when I'm locked up, I just turned 18, and they sent me from the juvenile side of the prison to the adult side of the prison. And then they sent me from the adult side of the prison because I fucked somebody up over there and got sent back to the hole. And they sent me down to the maximum security prison for the state. And while I was in that prison, I got into something. As soon as I got there, I was only there for like a week or two, and got into it with a CO. Started a little wrestling match with a CO. So they sent me to solitary confinement then. So now I'm in there in solitary confinement. Now I'm going through all this shit. So while I'm going through all this, though, I'm having it's like real crazy vibe I'm getting. I became Muslim. Professed the Shahadatain through the ventilation system with the brother that I was sharing the knowledge with. Which is basically just, confirming that Muhammad is a messenger of God, and that, what is it? The Shahadatain is like they say, to profess the Shahada, but it's not the Shahada, it's Shahadatain, because you make 2 declarations. That Allah, there's no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is the messenger of God. That's what you basically got to profess. And they say that you're Muslim for life if you profess that. So, after that stage, I went through a period of the COs just coming at me real heavy, real hard body. They got the psych doctors and shit that's walking through there, evaluating and everything. And me, I'm just like staying to myself. I'm not communicating. I fuck with nobody. So now fast forward to boom, I finally start to get to a stage of the processing of the throughout buildings and shit where we get out of solitary confinement, but it's like a halfway house from solitary confinement in general population. That's when I get into the situation where I had this being take me up out of my body into an astral projection state. And just showed, revealed, I don't know if it showed me, revealed to me, or allowed me to see, or just from where it took me, I was able to see through walls, magnetic fields, because a lot of prisons deal with a lot of metal and magnetic energy to block you from having spiritual experiences or being able to create some. A lot of prisons are built based off of spirituality, so they're to prevent you from astral projection or from ascending up out of this realm. That's what all the metal is for. That's why a lot of prisons deal with magnetic doors and things like that, to control and block your energy from transcending above and beyond the prison. But I went to the point eventually after that astral projection point, I got into a situation too with that Shelly, and where he started communicating with the Freemasons, trying to get favors and all that type of shit. And at that time, I was already hard by, like, yo, these motherfucking Freemasons is police. I don't fuck with them. Don't fuck with the police. That's all. I don't give a fuck with they Freemason secret society. I don't give a fuck with the motherfuckers talking about black power. That motherfucker's not doing. Sound like you were allowed to see through the eyes of the all. Yeah, that's what eventually what I'm getting around to too. Exactly, and which is an experience that I eventually called a beautiful eye. But and I went to I left. Got into a situation. Me and that Shelly got into a fight. He was HIV positive. We got into a fight. Busted up his mouth, busted up my knuckles, all types of shit. But yeah, I got sent back to the whole solitary confinement again for another 6 months. And I think this one was 9 months this time. I got sent to solitary confinement for 9 months. And I met another brother back there, and he was like basically like a blood that had got tuned into Kemetic teachings and things like that. At this time, I didn't trust Kemetic teachings. I still don't trust Kemetic teachings for it. I mean, like, I got to a stage where I did trust them, but now I'm back to the point where I study Kemetic teachings and things of that nature. But to me, I look at them like they just as bad as Aleister Crowley. Like, I don't fuck with that nigga either. I don't fuck with Aleister Crowley and Helena Blavatsky or none of them. And, but a lot of black people are now that's becoming conscious are stepping into their teachings, Luciferian witchcraft and all that. I studied all that. Sorcery, I studied all that. I every single thing you can think of. And when I was in prison, for the time all the time I did in prison, I went through every single system I could find and think of. If there was a book on it, somebody knew about it, I learned about it. And I practiced a lot. I committed to practicing a lot of teachings. And so what boiled down to what happened is I eventually came across this brother that was real deep into, he was a student of Yahweh ben Yahweh. I'm not sure if y'all familiar with Hebrew Israelite teachings or the Hebrew Israelite history, but Yahweh ben Yahweh is one of the most powerful, one of the most influential and most radical leaders of the Hebrew Israelite, black Hebrew Israelites in America ever. Like, you know, he was the one that when you hear about Hebrew Israelites talking about killing white people and shit like that and putting in work, retaliating against white people, like saying like, yo, we here as a divine wrath of God and all that. That was Yahweh ben Yahweh's teachings. A lot of Hebrew Israelites try to whitewash him out of the Hebrew Israelite legacy. But he contributed to a lot of Hebrew Israelite teachings and legacy. His real name is Hulon Mitchell. I believe he's a junior, Hulon Mitchell Jr. And I pay homage to him, give much respect to his spirit and whatever plane that he's on, power to him and love to him. But my godfather was a disciple of Yahweh ben Yahweh. And Yahweh ben Yahweh was a different, he was more so like what the Moorish Americans are talking about. He was like that. He was with the sovereignty and all of that the Moorish Americans talk about, but he was more so like Moorish American / Black Panther type vibe. Like, yeah, we about this sovereignty and getting rights but we got divine rights of God that no man got to approve of, and we don't need paperwork for. If you fuck with us, we gonna kill you straight up. Period. We stand on the books we stand on the laws of our God, our Creator, and that's all it is. You know what I mean? And we're gonna manipulate you. We're gonna use your system. Use your food stamp program. We're going to kill you at the same time. We're going to rob your stores. We're going to motherfuckers still try to preach in public and save our people and educate people and all that. I'm still doing it. But, yeah, so, and they was like, and this how Yahweh ben Yahweh was. And Yahweh ben Yahweh, I believe he was mixed or something because he's like yellow as shit with gray eyes. You know, if you go see any of his videos, he got videos on YouTube. Well, somebody posted videos of him on YouTube. I don't think YouTube was around when he was really popping like that. But you know, you can find videos of him on YouTube and things of that nature, and Google and Wikipedia and all that type of shit. Find out about him. But my godfather was a student of Yahweh ben Yahweh for like 6 years, and he anointed my father with the name Seth. And Seth was is basically he gave him that as the seventh son of Adam. And but this was a spiritual thing that he did, because if you know that Seth also means Set, which is Set is the one who killed Osiris or Osar in Kemetic teachings. So he anointed my godfather with the name Set, and I call him my godfather because he's the most pivotal being, the masculine energy ever that crossed paths in my life, as far as for something good. I had an old head when I was young that helped me out on some street shit. And he was, but that's irrelevant to what I'm talking about right now. But Seth, and I gotta call him Seth because I can't use his real name. I believe he's still locked up. He was basically like he was underneath for Yahweh and Yahweh, and they was basically like doing, like they would rob banks and all that type of shit, do stick up money trucks, like they was this type of people. Like they find out what white businesses was in the neighborhoods, and and if they had insurance and all that shit, they will find all this type of stuff out and go rob these businesses and go rob these people and go hold their families hostage and shit like that. Like this is how deep they was into it. Like, we great manifest this reality. Anything associated with this world, anybody that benefits from this world, we not fucking with them. So, but at this time, he was like tuned down, calmed down. He was more into studying the legal system, trying to help himself out. And man, I was with him. I was around for like 2.5, maybe 3 years. And what he taught me and educated me about, he really kind of opened me up to Dr. York, Malachi York, Malachi Z. York, and who was it? Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and Yahweh Ben Yahweh, and it was a few other people. He actually, I told you about the scholar in my last live, Rene Descartes, and Freud and all them. But Rene Descartes to me is a better person to study than Freud. Freud is a retarded ass Jew that spoke on behalf of Jewish pride and power, their system. So that's why the teachers of that a lot of our people's scholars refer to Freud. But there's another one named Rene Descartes that was he was like French or something like that, and he was real deep. And he was the one that coined the term that I always use a lot. The only way to know is to be. You cannot know a thing unless you be that thing, and that's what Rene Descartes said. That was one of his philosophies, and everything that he talked about dealing with the science of with ontology, which is the science of being, and that's what he talked about. And those are my skills. Those are my main lanes. I deal with ontology, etymology, which is ontology is the science of being, the science of being and the origin of being. Etymology is the origin and legacy of words or sounds, and symbiotics deals with definitely, and symbiotics deals with symbols, like what the language of symbols, like even if we had no language, no words. How will we communicate? Basically like what Medu Netter is, it's a language of symbols. Like each energy, each being gives like an emoji. Like we know what emojis mean. As soon as you see them, you know what the emoji means. There's no words that tells you what emojis means, but you know what it means. That would be symbiotics. You're a symbiotic being, a creature. We're all symbiotic creatures. We're symbol based creatures, or creatures who exist based off of symbols, or things that represent things. But we never are knowing the thing that is being represented. We only are it's only being alluded to through symbols. Like you don't know yourself. You only know yourself by because this being that you are, this physical shell. I'm not even gonna say it's a shell because this is an extension. This is real. Fuck what you heard about this. This body ain't real. This is a fault. This world is real. It's connected to the real. This is real. It's the least amount of it got the least amount of reality in it, but it is a real substance, and it really exists as an extension of your soul. You know what I mean? So symbiotics would be like, this is who you are, and you try to figure yourself out. You try to know your soul and know your true self based off of this symbol of yourself. This is just a symbol of yourself. What you say is a symbol of what you feel, what you think. It's not really what you think or what you feel. What you think and what you feel could be all over the place in multiple places at one time, in multi dimensions at one time. And you just be like, yo, what up? but when you say what you saying, just what up is just your manifestation alluding to what's going on, what's really going on. That's what you say through this symbol, that this symbol right here. You say what's going on, but in your mind, you thinking on multi-dimensional levels and through in different realms and different frequencies of this dimension, and different dimensions and different frequencies of other dimensions, and all. And that's what your perception of what's going on becomes solidified in this existence, this liquid crystal of life that we are on this plane. And it comes down, all these thoughts and transmissions become manifested as what's going on. And the motherfucker mind's like not chilling about the smoke. You want smoke? Yeah, let's go. That's what it might boil down to. And so this is just an example of understanding your symbols, understanding who you are as just a symbol. You're a symbiotic creature. It's a book by, I can't remember what the book is called, that deals with real heavy symbiotic teachings and the symbiotic philosophy, or I forgot what it's called. But another experience I had that really solidified, and this is like probably, where was I at when I had this? I was in the SHU program once again when I had this experience. This one was this is where I believe, this is when I feel like I've been abducted. This is the experience that really made me feel like I've been abducted by the mothership. Because no, matter of fact, I wasn't in the SHU. I was on a compound at this time. The compound is what we call general population. So I was on a compound at this time. Me and my godfather. Now, once I met him and we started vibing and talking, everywhere. We was together in that prison until I got released. If I got moved to another building, eventually he got moved to that building. If he got moved to another building, eventually I got moved to that building. If he got moved to a tier, this is not because nothing that we orchestrated. We didn't do this. This is just the way that fates had designed it. And I believe that the mothership and the mother, the great mother, the cosmic mother, designed it this way. She needed it because it was necessary, because I learned so much and was educated on so much about life and reality and existence. And he the one that really turned me on to etymology and the trivium and quadrivium, which is the 7 sciences of Caucasoid civilization. They break their sciences down into the trivium and the quadrivium. And he put me to everything, the hierarchy of Western civilization, and which is Western civilization, meaning we're over here in the West being ruled by the North. They call it Western civilization, but this is not Western civilization. But there is a hierarchy to Western civilization, and that hierarchy of Western civilization comes from the North, which is the Caucasoids, the Pope, the royal families of Europe, the presidents, the millionaire families of America, the billionaire families of America, things of that nature. Ford, DuPont, all that type shit. But yeah, I had an experience where I was actually meditating and things of that nature. I went into a dream state, and I had dreams, like vivid dreams all the time, giving me downloads, messages. I would wake up, write about them. I might have a dream that give me a poetic expression, a dream about love. Like I was real love sick in prison. I'll say that. I craved love and passion so much and couldn't get it, that I wrote so many poetry, so many poems, and some of my poems that you see in my group, Black Heart. Like those are some of the poems I wrote when I was locked up, because I craved that so much and didn't have it, couldn't get it. And but I wrote some way better ones, more explicit ones than that, real deep. And people was trying to buy it from me in prison. I tried to get a deal with Hallmark and all that. But the source of a lot of these poems was coming from my dreams and coming from me going through these different spiritual experiences. And what boiled down to eventually, the first thing that happened was right before I finally got out of let me rewind. I keep doing this. Right before I got out to the compound, I had an experience where it was like this demonic being. Now, this was what you would consider a demonic being. I don't know if y'all ever seen Trolls, the movie Trolls, or what's that movie? With the little monsters and shit. Not Trolls, but Gremlins. It was like a gremlin. Real old movie and shit. Good movie. But gremlin, it was like, this being came to me like a gremlin, but the gremlin had like, I guess you would consider like multicolored face, like red lips, or like a pinkish red mouth, like a monkey mouth, but it would look like a gremlin with the face of a monkey. That's what it looked like. And what the lips was, the facial structure, the muzzle of that monkey would be, part of itself, was a pink. Whereas in this demonic being was like like it came to me during a dream, but the way it came to me was like it pushed my dream out the way. Like my dream was my dream was just like some type of like a commercial autopilot program that was happening just because I didn't have nothing else going on at the time in my mind or with my spirit at the time. But this being just came and basically like just complete like busted through the dream, just moved that dream aside. Like that dream was nothing, just like a curtain, just slid that curtain aside and came and stood in front of me, just was laughing at me. And just that's all it did was just kept laughing, smiling, big ass, long ass teeth, like probably about, compared to my face, the teeth was probably about, I'd say like this long. And this being just was like just smiling and laughing at me the whole time. Little teeny demonic being, probably about no bigger than 2 feet tall, 2 feet big. And immediately, like most people, they fear. And I was studying. I had already studied sorcery at that time. It was really in Carlos Castaneda. I love his books dealing with sorcery and Native American sorcery. So that's he got some good books, good journals to go research. Carlos Castaneda. We got a few books right here, but he talked in his book. He talks about how when you first really start to tap into true power, there's already beings that's waiting there for you when you cross over into this other world, this other realm. And the first thing these beings try to do is try to scare you back into your shell. They try to scare you back into your into this world, basically, like your spirit. They try to scare your spirit back into this world, into this shell, into this realm, into this prison. Because it's almost like they're there as a test. You gotta basically like, and they feed off of your fear. There's beings in the spiritual realm that love when you're scared. They love it don't matter what you're scared of. You could be scared of the motherfucking Child's Play Chucky doll, watching movies. It's the beings that's feeding off of that shit, and Hollywood know about that. So these beings are feeding off of this fear. Matter of fact, it's a movie, I think Green Lantern or something like that. Fear is all they can use, exactly. And in the Green Lantern, it was these beings that had they had like a yellow light or some shit like that. And they was about fear. They needed everybody to fear. That's how and the more people that feared, the more they empowered their God and stuff like that. You know, this is how these beings are in this other realm. Like there's beings that's like waiting, like right by the door, like chilling, pacing back and forth, waiting for a motherfucker to tap in and tune up and open some chakras and open open your first eye and third eye and whatever you want to call it, and blossom your lotus and transcend and astral project and all that. They waiting for you to do this shit, not just into this realm. They wait for you to do it and really be getting somewhere with it, not just, oh, I'm astral projecting and then I get back into my body and now I feel better. That's not the same thing as like when you, like that Doctor Strange type shit. That ain't the same. I mean, that's two different things. When you astral project, like really get out there and really start acting on shit while you out there astral projecting, you doing shit, you accomplishing things, you on your quest for fire and things of that nature. You know, like you're not just going out there astral projecting and, you know, feeling good and experiencing space and loving and kumbaya and all that free love shit, and then you come back and you feel better and burning sage and incense and everything is good peachy vibes. But when you astral projecting, you really out there fighting some shit. You know what I mean? Like this is beings that's out there that's waiting. Like, man, like they basically like, yo, as soon as this nigga come in here, we gonna jump this nigga. You know what I mean? And they hoping that, and the way that they do it, they present themselves as like grotesque beings, and you know what I mean, these monstrous creatures and real violent and hostile. Like immediately, like just jump into your line of sight, and you like, where the fuck that? And your first reaction is scared. You jump, you crawl, you fear, and that fear brings you right back into yourself, your shell, connects you right back to this body, and say like, all right, yeah, you ain't ready. Just go back in there and level up a little bit more. There's beings that wait there for you, you know what I mean? And they teach you this in Native. If you ever study Native American teachings, It's real. It's considered occult teachings of the Native Americans. They deal with the tonal and the nagual. Tonal as in Tonal. That's basically dealing with your tonal self would be like your animality, yourself, the animal that's connected to your being, your body. Like they say your totem or something like that. That would be your tonal. Your nagual, Nagual, nagual. Your nagual self would be like fear paralyzes. Exactly. Definitely. And that's what they try. That's what they want to do. They want to paralyze you from these experiences. It's beings that these beings out there feel like we are the true gods, the true and living gods. Like us here on this planet, we are the gods, and they are those that are below us. They are in these higher realms and frequencies. But the technology has been that we think is gods out there, and that these other beings are deeper and more powerful than we are. And so we got to give them our power in order for them to help us and grant us abilities and things like that. But in actuality, we the guys on Earth right here. We are the guys. Like this realm, this world that we live in right here is considered the adept chambers. You got to be initiated into this world. Everybody can't. All these spirits and shit that want to come here, they can't just come here. They got to be initiated through our sex magic. And when you bring a child into this world, you are initiating a being from the spiritual realm into this world. And this is basically what happens but the experience that I had was I was going into this other world, and this being came to me that looked like a gremlin and so on and so forth. How I described it to you, just smiling at me, laughing at me, sharp ass teeth, big ass mouth, sharp ass teeth, like chinky eyes and red eyes, things like that nature. Absolutely. Leading edge of experience. All this stuff they talking about, the 5D and how they about to get things into what is it called? 6D, 7D, all that type of stuff. Pardon me. They tapping into some shit right now. We're dealing with different dimensions and stuff where they're trying to program our technology to have these different dimensions inside of our technology, and our technology is working. They want our technology to work better and faster by sliding through these different dimensions that they're calling 5G and 6G and all that, 7G, 8G, all that type of shit. You know what I mean? Which is the technology that they're trying to come out with now, broadband technology and all that kind of shit. You know what I mean? But so I went this being. I started fighting this being. I started artificial intelligence, exactly. Bring them on, yeah. And I started fighting this being, and but this being I couldn't fight this. I couldn't do shit to this being. I couldn't hurt it. I couldn't harm it. I couldn't do nothing except just like be aggressive. Like I didn't scare. Like because I understood the whole concept of the fear and all that. I had already got to a point where I didn't run from no beings in my dreams. I didn't like when I met a spiritual being. I wasn't scared of it. I was more curious about it than I was scared of it. But it was certain beings that my spirit had already been trained that if it scares you, fight it. You know what I mean? Go to war with, like, you got to make yourself, and that's part of what you learn also with the Native American systems. They teach you how to get power within the dream world, like how you can will yourself to not run from things in your dreams. You can will yourself to see things in your dreams, or to like simple thing. Like a lot of people don't realize it, but if you try to look at your hand and like just look at your hand and turn it over in your dream, and like look at your palm and all that shit, you can't do that most people can't do that in their dream. You can't even like make yourself see your hand. That's the exercise that they teach you. When you start to tap into different energies and powers and abilities, they say you can develop your abilities in the dream world while being safe. Tell a motherfucker to sit down. Yeah, exactly. That's how you gotta do it. You got to will yourself to, like, this motherfucker, like, yo, you gonna sit down, like, you gonna get the fuck out of here, or I'm ready to blow you the fuck. Like, you got to be like that way with energies that scare you or try to scare you in the dream world. You got to basically will it and make it. That's why it worked. So, okay. I'm still doing my live. But you got to basically tell them that you got that, like, yo, you got to sit, get the fuck away from me. I'm going to blow you the fuck up. Or you got to, like basically like create, like, the only limitations is your imagination. in the dream world. The dream, I love the dream. I love dreaming. I love having dreams and getting to that world. And I know right now I'm at a state where it's beings that's trying to keep me away from my dreams. They're trying to stop me from dreaming because they know when I go to my dream state, I'm on a quest for fire. I'm coming to bring power from my dream world back into this world. I go to take abilities and knowledge. I'm going to the dream state to take knowledge and steal knowledge and power and bring it back to this world and bring it back into this vessel that I am. This temple of God that I am. And there's beings out there that knows this and they trying to stop me from having dreams. So and that's what you got to do. When you get to your dream world, you just exercise, see what you can do, and see and make sure that you can always confirm things by if you see something. Try to remember numbers, phone numbers, addresses, names, places, things of that nature, and go to those places or numbers or beings and communicate with people there or whatever. Call. Like I had one time. It was only one time I remember the phone number in my dream, and I called it just to see who would answer, and nobody answered the phone, but it did ring, but nobody answered it, and every time I called, nobody answered it. So it could have been somebody that really knew what was going on and just chose not to answer it because they knew who was calling, or they knew probably why I was calling. I mean, things of that nature. So it is what it is. But I acted on it, and that's how you gain more power. Once you act on your dreams and things in this world, and don't let fuck if a motherfucker calling you crazy. Act on that shit. I don't give a fuck who called me crazy. Everybody know I'm crazy. All the people I care about, all the people that I love, they already know I'm crazy. They already know there's a lot of shit I don't give a fuck about, or I will stop giving a fuck real quick. So I don't care who the fuck else think I'm crazy or how they think I'm crazy in what ways. Because the people that already know me and got love for me, respect my handle, they already know I'm crazy. Now I know they fucking crazy. And we all, it is what it is. You just gonna have to deal with some crazy motherfuckers if you cross paths with us. We embrace our crazy where I'm from. Everybody, we embrace it. So you just gotta be like, find your. You just gotta like really find like who you are in your dreams, and that's what they call your duality. And so what happened was, I got into a fight basically with this being physically. Like when I came up out of that dream, and I'm listening to other people in my ventilation system, and phone call, my bad. So I'm talking to people in my dream. I mean, I come out of my dream that situation with that being from trying to fight that being, and basically like as soon as I seen it, and it came at me just laughing. And first it came at me trying to scare me, and then it started laughing. I immediately started just went into like a rage. Like I just said, forced myself to like black out on this motherfucker. Like, yo, I'm going to kill this bitch. And just start going hard and just saying like, I'm going to fucking try to bring that. This time I wasn't that deep, but I'd had dreams where I just summoned fucking bombs out of nowhere to blow shit up, blew up, got possible and just crushed shit. But this being, I just was like, yo, I'm just going to kill this motherfucker, and just started going like, in my dream, I was on some Dragon Ball Z shit. Like that's how I was throwing punches like crazy and kicks crazy, I wasn't affecting this being. But what happened was when I woke up, I woke up to listen to other people in my ventilation system asking each other was they okay. And when I woke up, they was trying to call my name. They was trying to call me and see if I was okay. And me, I wasn't trying to. I didn't even let nobody know I was up. I just got up and just was like, but when I got up, I was thirsty. I felt powerful. I felt like I was stronger than what I really was. Like at that time, I felt like I could just fucking start ripping toilets out the wall and probably fuck around, kick my door, and that bitch bust open and fly across the tier. Like I just felt like super powerful. Like I felt like I accomplished something in that experience. And but I was real thirsty. Like it did something. It drained me. Like I was really thirsty from that experience. And my hands was like, and matter of fact, let me rewind. When I woke up with my body, like from my waist up was hanging was hanging over the bed. Y'all gotta excuse my chapped lips. But from my waist up was hanging over the bed. And I was punching on the ground. I was punching on the ground so fast that that when I stopped punching the ground, my body fell onto the ground. Like I was holding my body up with the punches. But in the dream world, this is what I was doing. I was fighting this being that was coming at me. And I went, and what happened was that these people that in my ventilation system started asking me what was going on. Like then I didn't say shit. I didn't even acknowledge that I was up. I made it seem like I was still sleeping, all that shit. I was just like processing that whole experience when I first got up. So the next day I started talking to the people in my ventilation system. I asked them like, did y'all hear anything or going on last night and all that? And because at first nobody was really talking. Like they knew like something was up. They didn't know what the fuck was up. They just knew like, some strange shit just jumped off last night, and everybody was curious about it, and nobody had answers. So I eventually started talking to them. And was like, did y'all hear something going on last night? And so each of them basically came to the ventilation system and basically they gave me their perception of what they perceived was going on. Now, the person in the cell right next to me was like, he was like, it sounded like two people was in there talking. He said it sounded like I was in there talking to somebody. He didn't know who it was in the ventilation system. But by this time, they had already talked to each other and figured out that it wasn't either one of them that was going through that experience. So they pretty much knew it was me. So they basically was like, the one next to me, because the cells that's next to you can hear you better than the ones that's downstairs. But we can still talk to people downstairs though. But they're underneath of us. But the ones next door to you, they can hear more of what's going on in your room. So the dude next door to me was like, I heard it sound like somebody was over there talking to somebody. He's like, somebody, and me, I don't remember having any kind of words being exchanged throughout my dream or throughout this experience. Either or, the dream or the experience. And he was like, somebody was talking over there, and then it's like somebody started wrestling. Y'all started fighting or some shit. He's like, it sounded like two people was in the cell pushing each other back and forth against shit. And according to him, according to me, my body, I never even left my bed. Like when I laid down, I was in my bed. When I woke up, I was in my bed. I was hanging halfway off the bed, but I was still in my bed. According to him, it was somebody. It sounded like somebody was wrestling, and he heard him banging up against the door, which is across the floor. He heard him hitting the toilet, hitting the desk, hitting the closet. Like according to him, we was like all over the fucking cell, all over the room, just wrestling, tussling, pushing, fighting, grunting, and all type. Like that's what he heard. It sounded like motherfucker was wrestling over that bitch, and just hitting everything. Everything was getting hit, knocked over, slammed up against, and everything. Closets, doors, walls, everything. But me, I was still in my bed the whole time. Now, when the people downstairs told me that what they heard, they said they heard fighting. That's basically what they heard. Both of it was a blood that lived underneath of me, from New York, and it was a dude from Wilmington. It was BG. Called him Bad Guy. I fuck with Bad Guy, but and they was like they heard fighting. That's all they heard. They heard straight fighting. Like somebody was knuckling up with each other, and somebody was up there getting fucked up and tossed around. And that's all they know. They don't know who it was. They thought that somebody, that a CO was on the tier. Cause that's what happened in the prison sometimes. The CO might, you might be talking shit to a CO or something. They're like, I'm gonna come see you later on. Late night, they come pop your door open, slide up in your room, and next thing you know, you and that bitch fighting the CO. So they thought that's what had happened. Like the CO had slid up in somebody's room and was fighting them. Cause they said it sounded like it was. They said it definitely was two people in there. What they heard sounded like two people fighting. So and basically, like, I basically explained to them, told them exactly what happened and everything. And at this time, I was still Muslim. This is when I was kind of like coming out of my Muslim stages, and they was like no. So the dude was like, yo, go ahead and perform ablution. Pardon self. Perform ablution, basically purify yourself with the water, and perform 2 rak'ahs, which is 2 cycles of prayer. So I did all that. I did all that like the next morning anyway. But that's one experience that let me know like something, like I was tuning in, I was tapping into something. I already knew, like throughout all these other experiences, I was already doing something. What solidified it for me was I went to I got into on a compound with my godfather. We was in the same building. You know, we went jogging every morning together, worked out together, went to the gym together. We went to the library together, law library, all that stuff. Just checking out legal cases and stuff, dealing with different black revolutionaries and all that. You know, studying legal cases. All the Moorish America was into Moorish science. Real heavy studying the Moorish science, and he was like asking me. He said that it's something that I need to learn from you. He's like, yeah, I know I'm teaching you everything. You might feel like I'm older than you, so I know more. Because at this time, I was like 21 years old. He was like 46. So he was like, no, I feel like he's like, it felt like it's something I need to be learning from you. So he said, what's on your mind? So I was at this time, I was like, I was working on my second book, third book, because I had already wrote a book, lost that. You know, because the prison staff take shit from me all the time. So I sent him a copy of my book I was working on, and I started talking to him. So I told him, I said, for some reason, I was studying all these religions and stuff, and I just started to notice that the feminine aspect is not inside these religions. I said I can't find the like the woman. I can't find like nothing really about female energy or women. Period. Outside of, I said, the only time I find stories about women in these religions is either in relation to how they done fucked a man over and fucked up everything he had going on, or I'll find a woman being spoken of, what they say, as this is the wife of such and such and he gave birth to, or she gave birth to this child, and then they will immediately stop focusing on the woman and go to the child. And the only time you really see the woman is being talked about in a lot of religions, a lot of mainstream religions, you see the woman being talked about is like Revelations. In the end times, the woman is going to be central to the apocalypse. You know, like it's because the woman it's going to be this woman that has this child. That this child is going to be the blessed child, the anointed child, that the one that needs to be hunted and killed. You know, it's the same story that's told over and over. Like, you know, the Pharaoh wanting to kill the babies because the Messiah was coming and all that. It's the same story over and over being told throughout these different systems. I believe like Buddha or one of them religions, Krishna. All these different systems have stories of the child that needs to be killed while it's still a baby, before it grows up and becomes fully matured and aware and conscious of what's going on. Because this child, when this child knows what's going on, it's going to be the Messiah. And this is what I kept coming across in all these religious systems, spiritual systems at some point. God is a man. God thinks women are dirty and evil and the source of evil. And only thing they good for is to take care of your home and make these babies. That's it. Everything else they need to lead to us. So I started seeing all this shit, and I told my godfather about it. Like, yo, I keep seeing I said, yo, for some reason something is telling me that I need to go and really get heavy into this, find out where the women are at in all these religions and spiritual systems. Like, you got the whole Bible as a patriarchal book, and only time you see stories of women is they fucked over a man, fucked up his empire, everything he was building. They gave birth to this man, and after that, it's only talking about the men. She's only mentioned to be talked about when she gave birth to him. You know what I mean? Or Mary on the cross, Mary visiting Jesus on the cross, that type of shit. So I explained to him how I felt about the feminine. I said, yo, I feel like the feminine energy is really getting suppressed right in this world right now. And I'm seeing it in all these spiritual systems I've been studying. So he was like, you know, he one of them people that like, I don't know if y'all remember the old kung fu flicks. But he was like one of those people that like he knew what the fuck you was talking about the whole time, but he act like he don't know what you're talking about and want you to keep teaching him shit. But the whole time you kind of got a feeling like he know what the fuck you really talking about, but he just trying to see how you materialize your non-material thoughts. I mean, your and things like that. Like he's just the one that's sitting there like, okay, very interesting. Continue like that like, you know what I mean, like that's the whole vibe that he had with me. So I'm like kicking it to him, breaking it down to him, like, yo, boom, boom, tell them about the feminine spirits in the prison that I see, and you know what I mean, even among the homosexuality, how it's a science to this, and this is all by design. And you know, I don't got nothing against gay people at all. I got some real thorough gay ass friends, and they'll fuck your whole life up if you try them. You know what I mean? And I'll be rocking right with them. Like, they that thorough, more thorough than some of these real niggas out here. So I don't really have nothing. And I got a lot of gay family members, and I do the same for them. I kill a motherfucker quick for them. And so I don't got nothing against gay people, but I do understand like the difference between different, you know, why you have different spirits and why people do certain things with their life. And I had to grow out of that. It took me a year. I didn't grow out of that phase of being like gay bashing and all that till like a year before I got out of prison. You know, and a lot of people didn't like that, especially Muslims. But yeah. But so basically, what happened was I'm kicking it to my godfather about it. Part of self, about how I feel about the feminine energy. Yeah, yeah, bold as a motherfucker, real rat. And they'd already been through the worst, so they already accepted like, yo, there ain't shit else you can do to me besides kill me. You know, and that's how they live, and I respect it. You know, I'm at that same point. Shit, I done been through so much shit. You ain't gonna kill me. Shut the fuck up and keep it moving. You know what I mean? So, but that's how he was, and he was like, so I'm telling him about this feminine energy, like the just feminine energy period, the divine feminine, like how the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost work. So I guess the Holy Ghost must have been the woman that they killed off out of all the stories. That's the Holy Ghost. You know, they done killed her off, so now all they got left is a ghost of her, and that ghost is controlled by the Father. You know, so this, I'm like going through all these systems. I'm breaking it down to him. Like, I don't give a fuck. Listen, real rap. I know we agreed. I support all black spiritual systems, but Rastafari, whatever you want to call it, the Nation of Gods and Earths, or the 5%ers, Nation of Islam. Who else is it? Nawapians from the masculine energy on full with them. Yeah, absolutely. Full and crazy as fuck. Always a full moon for the ass. That's what the fuck it really is. They always in full moon energy. And love it. But this motherfucker was like all these spiritual systems, these black spiritual systems, including this is something I really don't get. Like Malachi York and all them. They acknowledge the feminine, the divine feminine, the feminine is the source. They acknowledge all of that. But nobody has given a black woman her crown. Nobody gives these feminine energies a position according to what the position that they are acknowledged for already playing thus far. They don't have a position that corresponds with that status. But they've all been filled up by men, even to this day. So, the Nation of Gods and Earth, they say they in their symbolism, they say, well, we got the bone. The 7 is the man is God, the woman is the earth, because the sun is God and the earth is subjected to the sun, boom, boom, and all that type shit. And so we never put the crescent above the moon, above the 7, because the crescent is the woman, and the woman is never above her man. She accepts her man ruling, boom, all that type shit. So regardless of how you want to dress it up and design it into the teachings of the nations of gods and earth, you're still dealing with a patriarchal system. And you can't activate them because of what I know about spirit. Well, let me get into everything else first that I need to talk about. That'll be another video when I'm talking about patriarchy versus matriarchy. And I actually plan on doing that next. They try to mimic her with robes and shit. Exactly. Robes and nightgowns and all that shit. Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. Emulating the feminine energy. And dashikis and all that shit. And putting on the makeup and all that type shit. Like, yeah, drawing the eyes on them shit. That's all emulating that feminine energy. But that's what they did. And so what happened was I got into this experience. This to me, I feel is the most profound experience that I've ever had dealing with that. With my purpose is because as soon as I talked to my godfather about this feminine energy and everything. Like, and keep in mind, throughout this time, we had in the prison. Now, a lot of people be sleeping on what's going on in them prisons. Keep in mind, you got a lot of lifers in there that gets deep and they study. You got secret societies within that prison. I've crossed paths with a lot of them. I became a part of a couple of them. Never took no oaths though. That's why I didn't get too deep into them. It wasn't allowed to go beyond the point because they deal with initiations differently and everything. But they almost initiate you before you have to take oaths. But for you to get deeper into their secret societies and things of that nature, networks that they have within the prison system, especially when it comes to dealing with the administration in the prisons, you got to start taking oaths and start performing different things, different acts within the prison. And like, it's a lot of shit that you got to go through. And especially with setting people up in the prison, other inmates. And like, it's a whole bunch of shit that you go through. But there are secret societies within the prison. And there's these secret societies include inmates, prison staff, medical staff, prison administration, and outside people that come to the prison, like counselors and religious people that come for religious services and stuff like that. All are a part of this shit. These secret societies within the prison, and they all are a part of the same secret societies. You know, where you might got, you know, it's correctional officers that might go to inmate cell to be initiated to another degree of knowledge. You know, like this shit goes on in the prison. So I was exposed to all that, and I seen all that, and participated in some of that stuff. But but one thing I never did, I swore I would never take no oaths. I swore to myself, not nobody else. Well, I did swear to the Holy Mother, to the Divine Mother of all, that I would never take no oaths or contract my soul or swear any oaths of allegiance or anything of that nature. And because I did that, or no oaths of secrecy, and because I did that, I wasn't allowed to be initiated. And I would express this to people. And when they was trying to initiate me and get me to take these oaths, I would tell them ahead of time, I've already committed myself to not swearing no oaths of secrecy, not taking no oaths of silence, not taking no oaths of allegiance to anybody or anything, or swearing no allegiance to any type of no beings that have not submitted themselves to me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not allowing no energy to possess me. I don't give a fuck if they're an ancestor. I don't know what their intentions are. You know, we got some fucked up ancestors in your blood too. So I'm not letting none of these motherfuckers take possession of my body. This is my experience, my soul. I'm here. This is my moment. So I rule this shit. I run this shit. I'm a sovereign soul. You know what I mean? But what happened was I took on this energy. I had this experience where I once again meditating and getting deep into my mind energies and spirit and soul, and really trying to know myself and learn myself and find out what, I mean, because my godfather hit me with these words like, yo, ask yourself all the time, who am I? What do I want? What is my purpose? And what is my destiny? He said, always ask yourself these questions at all times, no matter what time of day it is. If you got a moment to just relax, ask yourself. Once you elevate to a different awareness, you ask yourself. You know what I mean? As you step into another knowledge that changes your perception, ask yourself these questions. Continue to reevaluate yourself with these questions. There is no wrong answer to these questions. You can change your answer from day to day or from hour to hour, and you won't be wrong. Ask yourself, who am I? What do I want? What is my purpose? And what is my destiny? And try to answer always answer these questions to yourself. And because since he asked me that, those are the things that I meditate on. You know, when I really try to get myself into that meditative state, I go through a process of asking myself these questions and exploring all the possible answers. You know, and that really helped me out with a lot of things. And what happened was I talked to this. This is the moment that I feel like I was abducted by the Mothership. First, I had an experience with I had an experience where I was walking among all these leaders. Like I walked into this room with all these leaders, all the leaders of the Black conscious community. Now I didn't even know these motherfuckers before. I didn't know none of them, like Bobby Hemmett and all of them. Like I didn't know them when I was locked up. I didn't know them until after I got out of prison, and I started to go on YouTube and the internet and started to follow like people was telling me about them when I was locked up. And I started going into searching for them and find out what they was talking about. Santos Bonacci and who was the other one? Somebody, I don't know, other motherfuckers. But So I had a dream about all of them though, and they looked like what I seen. They looked like once I got out of prison and looked them up. You know, I had a dream about all the black conscious leaders in the black conscious community, some that don't even exist yet. Like I still haven't seen some of them to this day. You know, they might be out there somewhere, and I just haven't seen their videos or pictures or something like that. I'm not sure, but they was all like when I first went in, they was all sitting in this room, and there was a book, and everybody had to sign this book. And there was one of the daughters and there was a daughter of these leaders that wanted me to sign this book. And I still be looking for somebody that looks like her. I haven't seen anybody that looks like her yet. But but they was all looking at me like, yo, you got to sign this book. I'm like, nah, I don't sign shit. I don't sign no contracts. Brother Panic, I gotta look up Brother Panic. That's like you like the fourth person that done said something about him. I still haven't seen nothing from him. So I'm gonna check him out. And I heard he got a book too. That somebody told me to check out his book. I need to check out see what his book is. And I went to go look at these dudes, and I seen them all sitting around. They got quiet when I came in there. Like this is not the one I wanted to talk about with me being abducted, but this was one experience that I had that led up to this other greater experience. And when I walked into this room, this woman came and grabbed me. Like they wouldn't let me go past. They didn't want me to go beyond that point without signing that book. And I was like looking at all of them like, I don't sign no contracts. So she was like, she came, and I don't know who she was, but she seemed like she was like probably the youngest one there. Like, you know what I mean? It had to be her early teens or late teens or something like that. And she came and grabbed my hand and just walked me through the whole crowd, and was like, as soon as she grabbed my hand, like they shut down. They shut it. They went back to their discussion, went back to talking about whatever they was talking about, doing whatever he was doing. So I was like, and when she took me beyond the room that was beyond where they was at, like all these masters and all these teachers was all sitting in the room, like right there where you sign in when you first walk in. Like basically what would be considered the lobby. Now, when she took me at was basically the main area where everybody else was at was basically like, it was like a club, which I immediately understood as everybody, this is the conscious community right now. This is how I interpreted it. The conscious community, you got these leaders out here sitting in the lobby. They talking and vibing or whatever they doing right now, not letting nobody in on their conversation. But it was this chick that came, this sister black woman, beautiful black woman that came through and grabbed me. Like they wanted me to sign, these conscious leaders wanted me to sign this book, and it's crazy because years later, Brother Sanchez, I fuck with Brother Sanchez hard body. He talks about the black conscious community of New York, like how it's like a cult, a brotherhood, and they all upholding patriarchal ideas, and everybody everybody in the conscious community got to go through New York. You know, what's his name? Young Pharaoh had to go through New York. You know, he got accepted. Young Pharaoh was actually getting bitched out of the New York conscious community at first. It was once Seti put Young Pharaoh under his wing and really like told the conscious community like, yo, listen to what he got to say. Respect this brother. Give him some airtime. Because at first he wasn't getting no play in New York at all, and that's where he felt like he had to go to prove himself. And so he could, but they wouldn't let him in there. And so finally, Seti took Young Pharaoh under his wing and brought him through New York and shit, and let him go through all the channels that he went through, initiation and all that type of shit. But so all these brothers was here, and this is what I felt like was going on here. Like they wanted me to go through that process of like you not getting into these inner. So they try to take King Noble through that shit too. King Noble, I fuck with King Noble too. He want me to stop. He want me to stop smoking bud in order to join his community. I can't do that. I'm gonna smoke when I want to smoke. But I do fuck with King Noble. I respect a lot of what he say, but I don't respect I don't like the position that he subjugate the women, and I don't like the fact that he don't want nobody to smoke herb. That's that. If you come into his little movement that he got going on down there in Atlanta, so I had moved down there in Atlanta to get ready to join that too. But I couldn't do all that. But yeah, so she took me through this club basically, and it was like a club. Like this was, and I felt like this was the conscious community. This is really how the conscious community is. It's the leaders out here being serious as a motherfucker. They debating on and calculating and strategizing how to deal with the community at large, the people that's conscious and waking up and aware and searching and seeking While everybody that's the ones that's supposed to be searching and seeking and that really don't know, they out here just having a ball right now. That's just one big ass party of information. When I mean, restrictions are the ones I set. Exactly. That's how I feel about it. I mean, sovereign souls. Be a sovereign soul. You're not gonna put no restrictions on me. I'm still rocking for the cause. Like, I was really ready to go down there and like, if he told me to go kill a police, I'll go kill a police. I was ready to commit and rock with him, with the program that much. But he gonna tell me not to smoke weed. I'm not gonna stop that. I'll kill a police for you, but I'm not gonna stop smoking weed for you. That's how I felt about it. You know what I mean? So I was like, but she took me, and I felt like that's how the conscious community was. Like, she took me to this crowd. Everybody was just partying. It was a club. Everybody moved out the way so she could come through. And I took that as, I interpreted her as like the divine feminine. You know, like she represented the divine feminine at that time to me because of my perception, how I was waking up to becoming aware of the feminine energy. And that's why these conscious leaders went silent when she was around, because they don't really want the feminine energy to know. They like, up until recently, when black women started to become more conscious of their feminine energy, what feminine energy was, these black leaders was all about the black man is God and the woman needs to serve the man, the black man, and all that type of shit. And as soon as the black woman started to gain some real knowledge of the divine feminine and all that type of shit, and started to stand up and say like, yo, I'm goddess, and you God, like I fuck with you, I respect you, but you ain't gonna be my God. I'm a God, I'm a God too, I'm a goddess too. I gave birth to y'all niggas. As soon as the black woman started standing up like that, it went from the black woman need to serve her man and do her and let her man rule and be the head, to we need equality. Now the black man talking. Now you go to all these conscious leaders' pages when that all these motherfuckers was talking about the black woman need to support her man, let her man rule, and the man need to be the head and all that type of shit. And now they talking. Now if you go to all their pages now, they talk about equality. Or the black man and black woman, they need equality. There need to be some type of equality here, and boom, boom, boom. Yeah, and or they say, and then they try to part of stuff. They try to slide in there balance. Nah, don't equate equality. Now I keep telling people this. I believe I got that in my group too. Equality and balance are not the same thing. Balance, you can play balance is like the black woman got her position as a goddess, and she's first. The black man got his position as a god, and he's second. And then everybody else. That would be balance. Balance, equality would be saying that the black man is first and the black woman is first simultaneously, because the black woman and the black man was first in spirit first simultaneously. No. Equality is an illusion. There is balance, not equality. We seek balance, not equality. Ma'at is the goddess of balance, not equality. Equality came from some other shit. I don't know what equality came from. Some white people shit, Caucasoid shit. But I feel like, and they got quiet when she was around, and when she walked me through this club, everybody kept on partying and clubbing and doing all this shit that they was doing, dancing like motherfucking like when they was in Zion having their rave parties and shit. But you got Neo and Trinity walking through the club. But everybody move out their way when they walking through. But everybody having their rave, they zoned out, dancing with their bare feet on the ground, grounding and all that type of shit, and titties flying and everybody jumping, dreads shaking, all that shit. That's how this was. Like, it was real. Everybody was in a nostalgia. Everybody was into this altered state, this altered, this zone. But me and this woman was like, she was just walking me through the crowd, and she wasn't saying nothing to me at all. She was just showing me everybody, everything, and it was a reason she showed me them out there being quiet in a circle, talking, communicating. They all looking at me. She's watching all this. She's like basically like between the club and the door in the lobby, watching all this. And she comes to me, grab my hand, tell me that only time she spoke, you don't have to sign that. Come on. That's the only time she spoke. Other than that, she just walked me around the club. Walked around the whole club, looking at the whole conscious community that's in this rave, partying, zoned the fuck out in a trance that these black conscious leaders put them in. But these black consciously is not in there enjoying the music with them. They out here plotting and scheming together. You know, when you see them in public, they beefing. But you know what I mean? They debating, they beefing, they arguing, they got a problem with each other. They don't like somebody, they don't trust each other. But they out here sitting quiet in the lobby while everybody else is out there partying and dancing and doing it. But so this is the first experience that I had that really, like, when I woke up out of that experience, that was like a real revelatory moment for me. Like, I woke up like I knew something that nobody else knew or people wasn't really aware of. And that's and I still to this day I still did not sign that book, and I still won't take no oaths. You know, I still won't pledge no allegiances. I won't swear into my soul to nobody except this call, this purpose, my destiny. And so right now, after that, the greatest experience that I had, this is the most powerful experience that I had, was I was in this meditative state dreaming, and I was taken. And when I was taken, I was taken out of my dream once again, but this time when I was taken out of my dream, it was pitch black. And I was standing in front of this big ass eye. I should stop cussing so much when I'm talking about spirituality, but you know, that's how I talk. But I was taken in front of this big ass eye, what I call the beautiful eye. And I associated this eye was automatically, to me, was a feminine, it was feminine. Like, when I say a big ass eye, I mean like an eye like as big as like an apartment building compared to me. Like that, and the sense I had of this eye was like it was just that big, and it was really bigger than that. But that was just how big it was to me, where I was at in this black void of space. Like I could walk around. I couldn't walk. I could levitate. I was levitating. I could gravitate and levitate and move through that gravitation and levitation. But I couldn't walk. It wasn't no ground to walk on. There was no space that you could like say, I'm going to walk over here or walk over there. It was like everywhere I was, it was just, I'm here with this eye. It's just me and this eye, what I call the beautiful eye. And there was no communication at all. There was only resonation. No, keep that in mind. None of this. It was just sensing, just feeling, vibrations, just perceptions, just awareness being resonated, being transmitted. And this eye was like, and for some reason, this eye was just so beautiful. Like, I desired it so much. It was, and I just wanted it. I felt like I needed to just be consumed by it. And I tried to approach it. And I couldn't, but I wasn't allowed to approach it. And I kept, like, it was like, I was like, you know how, like, you get a dog that want to do something so bad and just like, that's how I felt. Like, I was like just whining. Like, I wanted it so bad. I was just like whining for it within myself. I just like wanted to be close, and I kept trying to get closer to it. She would allow me to come a little bit closer, but she like, you know what I mean? And she would stop me. I would just stop. Couldn't come no closer. I just wanted to get closer and closer and closer. She wouldn't allow me to, but she would keep on granting me like a little bit. Like, I could get a little bit closer just because she just like, she really like, she wanted me to be closer to her. But when she kept resonating to me, she kept saying, but it's really resonating like that. Like I told you, not yet. That's all I kept feeling. I kept feeling like what's coming out of these eyes, vibrating, resonating to my being, was not yet. So I told her, and I just kept trying to come closer. And then like I could feel myself like trying to be like, well, just let me like just feel you a little bit, just touch you a little bit, and she just kept saying not yet. She was pleased by it though. She was pleased by my desire, but she just kept saying not yet. But she was like, you know, almost like it amused her that I desired her so much. Like, she didn't think that, like, apparently this was her veil. Like, whoever she truly was, or whatever she truly was, this eye with this black omnipresence that was around us, this black universe, It's like being in space with no stars, no planets, no asteroids, no nothing, just black space and a humongous eye. And she was like, but this was just her veil. And I remember in a lot of religions, I always talk about the lifting of the veil. In the Bible, it talks about it. In Islam, it talks about it. The lifting of the veil, symbolizing the marriage of the souls and stuff like that. And this was what was going on. Like I wanted to be with her, and she was like amused by my desire for her, and she wanted me to come to her. She wanted to embrace me and to fulfill my desires, what I wanted. But she wouldn't. But she was like, not yet. It's not like not yet, as in it's not time to. Like it's still more that needs to be done. And now I think back on it, I look at it like shit. I might have stepped into, like she might have took me into her eye, blinked, and I might have disappeared from this planet. I don't know what could have happened, but it was just that powerful. That eye was just that powerful, and I just felt like, and she just showed me like love. She like expressed something that I can only interpret as love. And like she desires me also, and she wants me, but she gave me a mission, and this goes back to what I say about my purpose. And my mission that she gave me was that I'm in service of her now. I think to be one with the eye, one can't be present here physically. Yeah, exactly. That's what it was. I feel like that's what it was. The eye was like the gateway to the all, or something of that nature, where you become so like this vessel cannot contain that energy. Like these atoms can only be charged up so much, and then they explode, simultaneously combust. And that's what I felt was going on. Like I couldn't possibly like exist in this realm and that realm also that she would have took me to. And so what happened was when I was there when I was with her, I was getting some kind of download, like if something was happening to me all over, like my being was being trained, like I felt like I was genetically being changed, like within my biochemistry, my physical matter was being changed by me being in her presence for that amount of time. I was changing biochemically, and my reaction to things and desires and wants and perceptions, everything was changing. So she said, pardon yourself. So what resonated with me was that she, I could feel this happening, and she was like, let me know that, like me, I wanted to stay there forever. Like I was content, like I felt like I was in heaven, nothing else there. Like Lucy, when she gained 100% brain, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. You can't possibly gain that 100% and exist here. It's not possible. And that's what I felt. And I feel like when she taught, and like I could have stood there for the rest of my existence. I could have just stood there looking at this eye, and I would have been in complete bliss for the rest of my existence. Like that's how this felt. And she's like, she showed me love and gave me, but she downloaded something within my being. They gave me a mission, and my mission here, my purpose. And I feel like it's done fucked me up. I'd have been in a lot of fucked up situations along the way. But I'm not. But I continued on with my purpose, and I haven't wavered. I have wavered a few times. Went back into that street life, but I feel like and it's all for a reason though. Because it's something it's things that I know, and there's things that I have yet to know. Like now, when I came up out, that's when I first started telling people like I'm from the ancient future, and I didn't know exactly what I meant by saying that. But I just kept, but for some reason, I still to this day, like you can go back on my pages, my old pages. I got Elroy Ben Yahuhi Ra. That was one of my pages when I was in my Hebrew Israelite stage. And Elroy All. Like I just keep telling people like, yo, I'm from the ancient future. Or I'm here for the ancient future people. Like it's something about whatever happened through that experience that I understood like who I was for all times. Who I would be for all times. Like I would always be this person that I am in different worlds and different dimensions and different frequencies of life. Like it's other dimensions right now that's patriarchal. Like, it's not just this world. It's other dimensions with higher spirit beings that we consider spirits in this realm. When we transcend, they will be like they'll be regular people to us, regular beings to us. We'll be just like them. They no longer be spirits to us. They'll be us, and there'll be other frequencies higher than that. That's spirits. And these beings on this other frequencies are patriarchal also. They need war. It's warfare going on as above, so below. And my purpose is to wake up to the divine matriarch. And that's why, and the best way I can say that is to give, they say, like I say, give the black woman her crown back so she can sit on her throne. Pretty much, that's what my purpose is. Period. Give the black woman her crown back so she can sit on her throne. And she won't be able to sit on her throne. And it's sad to say this, black woman, but because patriarchy has taken that from you, black patriarchy, the black man is your Lucifer. The black man is that spirit, that angel, that light that you created, that came from you, that fell from glory, fell from heaven. You know, fell from heaven with, that oneness with you. That's what heaven is. Heaven is having. Heaven is having oneness with your creator and sustainer. Your creator and sustainer is the black womb, that cosmic womb, that matrix. Black woman is the shrine of the cosmic womb. The first mother, the cosmic mother, the supreme source, that first being, that non-being, that manifested being. The black woman is the shrine of that on this planet. And the black man is that spirit, that first spirit that God created, that goddess energy created, was God spirit. The spirit is that masculine energy that she uses to create with this universe, with the celestial sphere, the physical beings. And eventually what was used in parthenogenesis, she took that womb, that spirit up out of her bone marrow, which they say women create sperm in their bone marrow so they can impregnate themselves through parthenogenesis. That's the same thing that happened in the physical, in the metaphysical realm, that's taking places in the physical realm. And now in the physical realm, through this process, she ended her own parthenogenesis and allowed us to have free will as masculine beings. Spirit, yeah, exactly. Spirit. Yeah, crystallize it, build it, add structure, complete the cycle of, or complete the multitude of, the many manifestations of. Like, no, this is how she knows herself. She allows us to have free will, and we can do all the evil that we want to do, because it's through these evils that she understands herself in all her states of existence. All forms of existence, all her abilities and all of her disabilities, and her in these different dimensions and different frequencies of existence and states of being. So us as masculine energy had the free will to do all that and take her through these different experiences. Now, by us taking her through these experiences, that's not saying that she wanted us to, but she appreciates it. She appreciates it because now it helps her know herself more. So now when, like they say, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Now when these black women get back into consciousness and awareness of self and start acting on some shit, like anybody's not being a righteous patriarch, not upholding the matriarch, giving this black woman her crown back. The divine mother, the cosmic mother is watching. The mothership is watching. Mother Earth is watching. What you call Gaia, the earth spirit, the feminine spirit of the earth is watching. You know, the mothership and all those spirits that's on the mothership are watching. You know, and those of us brothers like the thugs. That's really why these motherfuckers, these crackers, are scared of gangsters and thugs so much. Because a real thug, that real thug frequency, that revolutionary spirit, is the wrath of Kali. Kali is that black woman awakened back into knowledge of self, sitting back on her throne and saying she don't give a fuck what was going on before she sat back on this throne. She changing all this shit. Everything getting fucked up. If it ain't supporting this matriarchy, if it's not supporting this mothership, the building of this mothership, if it's not tuned into the motherboard or tapped into the motherboard and getting these proper balance and downloads and uploads from the motherboard or the mothership or the mother earth or the mother planet, the cosmic womb, the cosmic mother, the celestial womb, all that, it's going to be destroyed. Period. That's Kali. And if you study the Hindu teachings about Kali, Kali has her own minions specifically that serve her and no other god. They don't work with no other god, no other goddess at all. They deal specifically with Cali energy. Destroy to build. Exactly. Destroy to build. And build to destroy. And that's what they're about. That's what these thugs are. A thug, look up the true definition of a thug. Where does a thug come from? A thug is one of the minions of Kali. One of the men is a man that serves Kali, that divine feminine. That's what a thug is. The one that serves that divine feminine that has reascended back to her throne, and now got some motherfucking some issues. So she got some karmic debt to start dealing out. She ready to go collecting on some karmic debt that motherfuckers owe. That's Kali. The black woman collecting on that karmic debt that motherfuckers owe her. She coming back and collecting for it. That's Kali. Thug is the man that helps her. The man who has been teaching her the knowledge of who she was and what she forgot, what she needs to remember, what she had before that, what we took from her that we hold secret now. That's the man that reveals all of that to the black woman. Is a thug. They're the ones that support Kali, that support that Sekhmet energy, Sekhmet, Sakamaat, or that Mexico. That's where Mexico comes from. That divine feminine, that wrath of the divine feminine is coming. They avoid. It's in the Bible, Revelation. Look it up. The woman that sat on the back of the beast with the 12 diadems on her head, and which is what Delbert Blair and all them is calling the 12 genetic genetic strands of DNA fully activated. I mean, this is all that type of stuff, which gives you different abilities. I call it something else, but that's it's talked about. That's why women are suppressed so much, and even the white woman gravitates towards the black man to serve the black man, and that comes from some ancient teachings also, which I'm gonna get into another time, because that's gonna hurt a lot of feelings about when I clarify the ancient relationship between the black man and the white woman, which is what the civil rights movement was about. That civil rights movement was a straight occult movement. It was straight occult. It didn't have shit to do with black people accomplishing nothing. We didn't accomplish shit with the civil rights movement. That was the straight occult, ritualistic symbolism done in public between the black man and the white woman, with the black man and the white woman. Look at the civil rights movement. It was mostly black men and white women. White women outnumbered black women in the civil rights movement. White women outnumbered everybody else except the black man in the civil rights movement. You know what I mean? Look up the women's suffrage movement. That was what the white women's side of the movement was called. The black man's side of the movement was called the civil rights movement. The white women's side of the movement was called the women's suffrage movement. But that's a whole nother lesson though. But I just felt like dropping that on y'all real quick. But yeah. So right now, that's what I feel like my purpose is right now, to be this thug, to be this G, stick to the G code, the God code, the righteous patriarch, the magic savage. That's what my purpose is right now. Because I'm in regards of what women, how women feel, or how many women you can't and because of what my purpose is, it's fucked up a lot of relationships I've been in, because a lot of women that I've been involved with don't understand this. They feel like I got them now. I don't need nobody else. I don't need to be doing nothing with nobody else no more. I don't need to be teaching women. Why do I always want to communicate with women? Why do I want? I mean, and I had this issue with the woman that I'm with now. Annette Rod, shout out love, but we talked, and I love her. She got a lot. She's real deep. She understands some things more so now that that we've been vibing and talking, and I understand some things about her now. We've been vibing and talking. We definitely lay down our souls to each other and let each other know how we really think and what we really feel about things. But before her, I was dealing with women that was not understanding my spirituality. Not feeling like why you gotta deal with women all the time? Why you want to talk to so many women? Why you always around women? Why they always gravitate towards you? Why do the children always gravitate towards you? Women, they question that too. Why do the children always? Because I'm doing something that they understand, and I feel like it's a spirit that I possess that nobody can stop, nobody can hinder, nobody can falter me. I know I'm so certain of my path from my experiences that I've had. I've had other experiences that I haven't even explained. But my phone is about to die, so I got to go ahead and start wrapping this up. But I've had so many experiences that confirm that the black man has to give the black woman her crown back. Because it's just the black women walking around talking about, yo, we this, we that, we goddesses, we ruled the world, we had this, we did. Nobody's gonna do. Nobody really gonna believe that shit. Nobody gonna really give a fuck either. They just gonna be like, all right, yeah, it's just a black woman on her feminist shit. You know what I mean? But if it's coming from a man, a masculine energy that ain't no sweet nigga, that's telling you like, yo, this shit is real. This is the knowledge. Yo, I've been through these occult brotherhoods and shit, and they teach us. I learned about what the brotherhoods teach. I learned about what they allow the sisterhoods to teach. Because keep in mind, these fraternities control the sororities. These sororities can't teach nothing that the fraternities don't approve of. Yes, thank you. You appreciate it too. I appreciate it. I share a lot of your posts. I appreciate you too. You got that knowledge. You especially on top of your etymology. And a lot of people do not know this, but these fraternities control these sororities, the Eastern Stars and all that ancient Egyptian order, all these female fraternities on these college campuses. They controlled by the fraternities, the male brotherhoods. And a lot of these fraternities, sororities, you're not even allowed to, in these child organizations, you're not allowed to join unless you're related to a man that's inside of one of these fraternities. So that's basically what it boils down to. And I'm going to be reaching out, and this is what my mission, this is what my purpose is. And I'm to the point where I done been through so much real shit, people trying to kill me, people trying to initiate me, people trying to destroy and dismantle, and people trying to hex me and curse me and all types of shit. Like I done been through a lot. Just because of what I stand on, and I refuse to sway. I refuse to be swayed, and I'm gonna keep on doing it. And I don't give a fuck who. I honestly, I don't give a fuck if what I stand on destroys any relationship that I'm in. I'm gonna still do it because I understand why I'm doing it. I know that I have to do this because there's not many people that are doing it, and that's why I give props to those that represent the divine feminine, that teach about the divine feminine, and us brothers that try to get the black woman her crown back, because that's the only way that it's going to be solidified and be like, all right, it's not just some shit that you just say like, yeah, we can say black people can say we this, we that, but that we just say that because we black. Now let the white motherfuckers say it. Now motherfuckers paying attention when white people start saying some shit. My phone is turning off, so